Song of Song, the Song of Solomon. So let's turn ourselves to the book of the Song of Solomon, as I call your attention to chapter 3 and verse 6, which is the section that we are going to consider this morning. You remember that it is called the Song of Song because it's the best song composed by Solomon. It is Hebrew, the Hebrew poetry. It means the best of all songs. As you remember, Solomon in his lifetime composed 1,005 songs, and he considered this to be the best that he has composed by the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. It is a Hebrew love song, and we must always remember this. This is not a Chinese love song. This is a Hebrew love song. And so we must read it with that understanding so that we will not say, hey, how can it like that? Why is it like that? Why is it like that? No, brothers and sisters. God in His wisdom chose Solomon to compose this song for our instruction. It is a Hebrew love poem. And that is why in this passage that we're going to consider this morning especially, you will find the use of spices and trees and landscape, fruits and animals to describe the beauty of a woman and the attractiveness of a man. It is a Hebrew love poem describing how Solomon fell in love with this Shulamite woman, and describing how they were attracted to one another and how they saw the beauty in each other during their courtship. It is meant, brothers and sisters, as you see in this human story of love, it is meant to describe to you and to illustrate to you the love of God for His people, for His church. Because marriage and courtship has always been the pictures most used in the Bible to describe the relationship of God with His people. Recently, we considered the book of Hosea, and you realize that in Hosea, God described His wayward people as His spouse, His wife, who had gone into adultery. And so here you see the picture of marriage is very close to the heart of God because it has a spiritual lesson, the lesson about Christ and the love He has for His church. You saw the courtship. You know, when a couple is in a courtship, you know, you always only see the best in one another. And so this lady, this Solomon, looked at Solomon and saw his great attractiveness. And then when Solomon now, in this passage we are going to consider, look at the lady, the Shulamite, he saw her great attractiveness. The word in the New King James and in the King James that is translated fair among women. Fair. The word fair is better translated as so beautiful. Yes, so beautiful, so fair and so beautiful, in other words. And that's what it is all about. That's why we say that when somebody is in a courtship, when a person has so-called fallen in love, love is blind. It's true. In courtship, you only see the best in one another. And the fact of the matter is this, brothers and sisters, that we are on our best behavior in courtship. Isn't it true for those who have been in a courtship before? You put up the best behavior. You are so patient. You're willing to wait for hours for one another. You never use angry words. You even send cards. You will go through the trouble to go shopping together. You're always at your best behavior during courtship. And so you find it here being described. The lady looked at Solomon and could only see his perfection, not his imperfection. And the same for Solomon, looking at the Shulamite woman, only saw the beauty of this woman and her perfection as well. Look at the longing for one another. Can you look that in chapter 2, brothers and sisters? Look at chapter 2 and verse 14. Look at how they saw one another. It says there in chapter 2 and verse 14, the second half of the verse, it says, let me see your face. Let me hear your voice. For your voice is sweet and your face is lovely. That's love. You long to be with one another. That's why people in love, they are always spending a lot of money on the telephone, and then their telephone is actually very bad for their health because its radiation is always perpetually online with a person, and you speak into the night. Suddenly you don't need to sleep on, And then tomorrow you are still beaming with smile and happiness, go to work. When people look at you, they can say, ah, who is it, who is it, who is it, who is it, show me photo, who is it? They know that you are in love. And that's here reflected. And brothers and sisters, this is not just about a man and a woman. We have to think about this. Do we have this same kind of emotion, same kind of love, deep longing for our God? Do we love our God in the same way? Do we say to the Lord, let me see your face? Do we say to the Lord, let me hear your voice? Do we say to the Lord, your voice is sweet and your face is lovely? The longing of the soul for Christ that the Puritans were known for, brothers and sisters, is very much a dead experience to Christians today. They saw one another's attractiveness. Look at what we are told there. If you go back to chapter 1, look at what you are told there. Looking at the attractiveness of one another. The lady look at the man and says in verse 2, let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. That's how it is. She's willing to forgo anything in order to be loved by him. And there are so many other verses which I will not tire you this morning. Love is blind. And a lot of young people, they thought that they are in love when actually it is called puppy love. It's just a feeling. Especially if it is your first time falling in love, so-called. You know, you take it as the final. You have no experience in love. True love, brothers and sisters, true love can only be seen when it is tested in marriage. Whatever the person may say, if there is a divorce, there is no true love. Whatever it may be, if it leads to abuse of one another, there is no true love. Because love during courtship is just expression. Love in marriage is tested. Your love, your true love, is only seen when you are married and the routine of life comes in between both of you. You see, courtship and marriage are being blurred today in our world, brothers and sisters. You see, Satan knows that when God created man and woman, God created man and woman with this unique gift called love. And it's a powerful thing, brothers and sisters. Love is such a powerful thing. That is why Satan today gives out a lot of wrong signals and pictures about love. Satan confuses your mind, love with lust. Satan gives you the idea that love is such a feeling that you must have it, even though it is wrong to have it. In India, recently I was just repulsively looking at a video of a young man, 24 years old, marrying his own mother who is 45 years old in India. Fighting at the High Court, engaging a lawyer for the legal right to marry his own mother. And they asked him in the interview, you know, why do you want to marry your mother? And he says, because it's pure love. When I look at my mother, I just feel nothing but pure love. And I'm so attracted by her beauty. The Bible tells you that's not love, that's lust. You are actually giving in to the desire of your lust, your eyes and your flesh. But Satan comes along and gives you that way and confuses people. It gives people this and say, look, the rate of divorce is increasing everywhere. You know why got divorce or not? Because they never test before they get married. So we better test first. Why don't we cohabitate? We stay together first lah. Then we try and see whether it works for us. If not, we better not. You know, we end up like that. Down the road, few years time we divorce. And so now people, man and woman, they sleep with one another. They behave like man and woman, except they are not man and woman. They are not man and wife. And so they stay at a woman's place. And if the parents are not accepting, then they go to the man's place. If not, they go and rent some place. And then they stay with their friends. They live like husband and wife. They sleep together. They have sex together. They may even have children together. But they are not married. I met in this recent journey to Australia. So many people introduce their partner, and this is my partner. And I thought partner means what? Your wife, your husband? No, partner, we are not married. But these are our children. There is only one word the Bible used to describe such a relationship. It's called fornication. It's an abomination in the sight. But we love one another. We really do. How can you say it's fornication? We really love one another. There's a confusion between love and lust. There's a confusion between love and sin. So brothers and sisters, that is why we must understand the book of Solomon here. To know what is true love from what is not love at all. We learn about the longing of love. That it is a powerful emotion, a powerful feeling. It's true, we must guard, we must not let devil come in and steal our hearts away from Christ into all these other things that is not worthy of Christ. You have seen how it is in a courtship. Now this morning, from chapter 3 verse 6 to chapter 5 and verse 1, you find here what is called the wedding procession. The wedding. You have the courtship, and now you are into the section that talks about the wedding. Look at what you are told there in chapter 3 and verse 6. Who is this coming out of the wilderness? The word there, wilderness, means the uncultivated land. The land that's not cultivated is just barren land. Nobody cultivates that land. And as a result, when there is a great movement of people and animals and stuff, you see that there's a lot of smoke or dust that is created as people drive by or move by or walk by. A lot of dust on a warm day. And so that's what's happening here. Who is this coming out of the wilderness like pillars of smoke, perfume with myrrh and frankincense, with all the merchants' fragrant powders? And then in verse 7, the identity is given. Oh, look! It is Solomon's couch with 30 valiant men around it, of the valiant of Israel. So, who is that coming? It's a great bridal procession. Who is it? Who is it? And then before long they realize, it's the king. The king is coming with great majesty, with great possession. Look at all the fanfare that is coming and processing along with Solomon. And where is Solomon going? Oh, it is not just the king traveling by. Look, from all appearance, from the appearance of this party of people traveling with him, look at the way they dress, look at the things they are bringing along with them. It is a bridal procession. Solomon was on his way to fetch his bride. And that's what we are told here, brothers and sisters. And so in this section, we are talking about a bridal procession. And look at the way Solomon described his wife. Look at chapter 4 and verse 8. He addresses her as my spouse. Verse 9, my spouse. Verse 10, my spouse. Verse 11, my spouse. Verse 12, my spouse. And then chapter 5 and verse 1, he says, my spouse. That's how Solomon saw the person that he was on his way to fetch back with him to be his wife. His wife, brothers and sisters. That's what it means here. His wife, his spouse. Then again, brothers and sisters, look at how he addressed his spouse. Once again, he's called his spouse. But look at chapter 4 and verse 9. It says that you have ravished my heart, my sister, my spouse. My sister? Why is he called my sister? You see, to us who are not Hebrews, we do not know that my sister. Do you know that? And this is, I hope, will be true in our lives as well. Our own sister should be the most precious person of our generation to us. And so when Solomon said my sister, addressing his spouse as my sister, he is actually saying to this lady and to all of us that she is of unspeakable preciousness to me, just like my own sister whom I'm supposed to love, defend, protect, and provide. Brothers and sisters, do you love your wife, your husband with such emotion and love? Is your spouse somebody who is unspeakably precious to you? There is no negotiation as far as your wife is concerned. Yesterday we were somewhere and we met somebody whom we have known for many years, and so he took out his photographs of his family, husband, wife, and two very beautiful young daughters, and show it to me and say, you have two sons, I have two daughters, tell me which one you want, which one you want to choose, which one. So I look at the photo and say, no lah, number 2 and number 3 cannot lah, number 2 is me lah, number 3 my wife, not for sale lah, only number 1 and number 4, which one you want for your son? Why, to him, as far as he's concerned, his wife is not for sale. He's a good man, I told you. You are a good man. You don't make fun of him. You are a good man. Beloved brothers and sisters, this morning my purpose is to remind everyone who is married here, be faithful to your spouse. Hold your spouse to be unspeakably precious to you, the most important person in your life. And let's all be faithful to them. For others who are not married, brothers and sisters, make sure that you give support to those who are. Make sure that you help somebody whom you love to have a happy marriage. That's important. Don't say, none of my business, I'm not married. That's a bad attitude. You may not be married, but you have helped somebody who is, so that the person knows that the person can rely on you for your support and understanding. What about the groom? Who is the bridegroom, brothers and sisters? It is identified for us here in chapter 3 and verse 9. Who is he? It is chapter 3 and verse 7, Solomon. Chapter 3 and verse 9, Solomon the king. Chapter 3 and verse 11, King Solomon. And then that's what we are told. The identity of the bridegroom is Solomon. He was on his way in richness and majesty to fetch his wife. Look at where we are told there, brothers and sisters. It's very exciting things. I have read now in chapter 3 and verse 8 for you. It said, they all hold swords, being experienced in war. Every man has his sword on his thigh because of fear in the night. You can imagine here. Solomon was going to fetch his wife, his spouse. They are not married yet. After a period of interval, they have not seen one another. Now the day has come and he's come. And then when you go and fetch, when you want to show people along the way how much you love your spouse, you show it with all this grandeur, you see. And so Solomon was very happy. He was displaying his grandeur and his riches. And his purpose is not to show off. His purpose was to show how happy he was. I'm on my way to meet my wife, the woman I love the most. I'm on my way. Look, I bring all these important people with me. My bodyguard, and not just bodyguard, the best of my all bodyguards. I bring the best along with me because I want to impress people of my great love for this lady. So you see, I told them in verse 9, of the wood of Lebanon, cedar is the most expensive wood in those days. Solomon the king made himself a palanquin. A palanquin is a foldable bed made of this precious wood. And not only that, he made his pillar of this palanquin of silver and his support of gold, his seat of purple. In other words, here you're finding a picture that this canopy, this place where you find Solomon resting in between his journey, catching up with his rest. You give this sense here, brothers and sisters, that it is the best of the best of the best that Solomon has brought along with him. You know why? Because he was on his way to fetch his wife. You don't know how long the journey would have taken him. Maybe 2 days, 3 days. And so in between he will rest on this canopy that's so lavishly prepared. And then don't forget, it's not just for himself, On his way there, he would rest and then he will rest on this canopy, But on the way back with his wife, the wife can rest in the same way too. And so you see, it's for the comfort and for the good of the person he loved, that he has prepared such a lavish thing. That is why in verse 11, you find the observer saying this, go forth, O daughters of Zion, and see King Solomon with a crown, with which his mother crowned him on the day of his wedding, the day of the gladness of his heart. You see that is the day of his wedding. That's why we say courtship last week. This week we talk about wedding. Look at this possession. Now today, we do not come with our camels and our horses. We do not come with our palanquin and all this. Today we come in our car, bridal car. And then all the brothers and all the sisters, the brothers being bullied by all the bridesmaids, don't want to open door, make them eat chili, make them do this sing song or whatever in order to, before they will be willing to open the door for you to go and fetch your bride. You can imagine today's, there's an impression. But brothers and sisters, why are you willing to go through all these things? Nowadays, a lot of people do it for fun. Just to have a grand wedding. Do you know somebody we knew, a 20-over-year-old guy? He went to POSB Bank and he was on loan of 200,000 yes, Singapore dollars for his wedding. He started his wedding with a loan of $200,000. He wanted the best. He wanted to rent a limousine. He wanted the best hotel for his wedding dinner. He wanted to have the best gown and the best this, everything that. He started his wedding with a $200 in debt. To cut the story short, within 3 years they were divorced. What's the point, brothers and sisters? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Looks so good. But there's no real love, brothers and sisters. But not Solomon here. The picture here is of the great thought King Solomon put into this in order to show off his wife. That's how great God's love is for His church. You must understand, brothers and sisters, that God loved His people very much. The bride chosen before eternity, before even there was this world, God already had His people in mind. And there was already an announcement that He will have His people to Himself. In the Old Testament throughout, it's always my wife, my wife, my wife, my wife. Bridal, bride, and all this. The announcement of the prophets. And there was even an engagement because God made a pledge that He will make for Himself a people. There was an engagement already announced. There will be a people. Dowry was paid, brothers and sisters. Dowry was paid by Jesus Christ. His death on the cross of Calvary was the dowry that God paid for His bride, the church. Do you understand that? But between the death and the dowry being paid and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, there is an interval. Just like Solomon went back to Jerusalem to prepare the wedding, and the lady was there in the vineyard waiting for his coming. Will he come? Will he come? When will he come? What will it be to come and fetch me? There was a period of waiting. There is a period of waiting between the first coming of Jesus and the second coming of Jesus. We are waiting. We are wondering, Lord, when will it be? Lord, it has been 2,000 years. Lord, we are waiting. And on the other hand, Jesus is saying, wait. I have gone away to prepare a place for you. And if I gone away to prepare a place for you, I'll come again. When the place is ready, I'll come. Didn't He say that in John 14? And so, brothers and sisters, we are in this interval period between the wedding ceremony that will come and this period of that we are waiting for Him to come. And Revelation 21 tells us of that great day of His coming. As they were preparing for this wedding, as the wedding procession was taking place, look at what the groom said about the bride in chapter 4, verse 1 to verse 7. Again, I want to emphasize this. This is a Hebrew love poem. Please don't laugh. Please don't say, tay. Don't say that about me. Okay? Look at what he says. He said, behold, you are beautiful, my love. The word there, fair, is an old English word for beautiful. But behold, look! My love, you are so beautiful. Behold, you are beautiful. You have dove's eye behind a veil. You know wedding? The bride is always with a veil in front. But Solomon could see through the veil and under her face and look at the two eyes. And to him, it's like dove's eyes. I don't think my wife will be very happy when I look at her and say, you have a pair of beautiful dove's eyes. I think she will just be angry. But in those days, again, it's a Hebrew love poem. Do you know that today, if you go to Syria to attend a wedding procession as a wedding event, do you know that in the middle of that wedding social event, the bridegroom is expected to just stand up, and in the midst of all the drums and all the guitars, whatever, the bridegroom today, still the practice today, is supposed to sing a poem in Syrian language, and the poem is to be sung and it is in praise of my wife. It's all about the dove eyes and what you're going to read here, brothers and sisters. Your hair, look. Your hair is like a flock of goats. Wow. No woman today want to hear that, man. Wow, compare with me with a goat. It simply means, have you ever seen a flock of goats? Goats have very thick hair. In other words, this woman, this Shulamite woman, had beautiful eyes, and then a hair, thick head of hair. And then go on, it says, going down from Mount Gilead, the richest pasture in the land of Israel. In other words, your hair is not just thick, it has the quality of the best of all the sheep and goats in Israel. Your teeth are like a flock of shorn sheep which have come up from the washing, meaning to say, when you wash a sheep in the water and freshly out of water, what kind of color is the sheep? It's pure white. It's so beautifully clean and white. And so, when Solomon saw through the veil and looked at the teeth, and she smiled and he saw the teeth, it's just pure white. Now, the next few sentences may be of shock. He said, every one of which bear twins. What does it mean? Now, look at one another teeth. Look at one another. It's twins, isn't it? You have an upper and a lower, and they are all just so nicely arranged. Some people have to pay money for specialists, a dental specialist to align your teeth. But this woman, surprisingly, naturally, she has very beautifully aligned teeth. It's like got twins, one twin on top, one twin below, so all the teeth are all in line. Then look, the next one is even more funny. And none is barren among them. What do you mean by none is barren? In other words, there is no fallen teeth. There's no gap in between, no barren land. The teeth supposed to be there, still there. You have a mouth of healthy teeth, is what Solomon was saying about the woman. Here is about Solomon praising the attractiveness of the wife, and that's what he's using all this the Hebrew way of describing one another. Your lips now, it comes to the lips now. Because when the first thing that caught his attention behind the veil is the eyes, then the hair, then he smiled, she smiled, the teeth so beautiful, and then coming out further, he saw the lips. What about the lips? Your lips are like a strand of scarlet, and your mouth is lovely. You see there, painted in a scarlet red, brothers and sisters. Your temples are, this one I do not understand why. Temples are behind your veil are like a piece of pomegranate. I don't know why. It's ruby color. Ruby color. In other words, she is painted, she is plastered or whatever your cosmetic, and the color of that skin, the area is of ruby color. Your neck is like the Tower of David, built for an armory, on which hung 1,000 buckles. Now, the word that buckles means trophies. And isn't that what is expected of women in the Middle East, even in Chinese society? Look, don't be frightened of the word Tower of David. Simply means like a tower is for display. A tower is a place where in ancient times you display all your war trophies. And look at a woman, she's hanging around her neck, all the richness. Look at the diamond chain, look at the gold chain, look at the silver chain, look at the chains of different design and colors and stones. And that's what he's saying. He's saying, I look into this veil, I saw your lips, I saw your eyes, I saw your hair. Hey, look at your neck. It's hanging all the expensive jewelry that I sent earlier on for you to wear because you're going to be the king's wife. And it's all on display. And brothers and sisters, this is nothing new. Women today, they are still doing the same thing, isn't it? You like to wear, nowadays people are smarter, they don't spend a lot of money on real gold. You buy jewelries of all sorts and you wear. I mean, now men also wear. I don't know, men want to attract what? Attract other men or what? I don't know. But women wear to attract men, attract one to show the beauty and all this. Now the next one, I have to, because it's in the Bible. Don't say that the pastor is not observing R21, but it's right there. He said, your two breasts are like 2 pounds, twins of a gazelle, which feed among the ladies. It simply means that it's lovely. Now, recently, when recently means a few months ago, I was I cannot remember now exactly where we was in the shopping mall. And what happened was there was a young lady, a young mother, who was trying to feed the baby, and she was doing her best, sitting at an angle, and then trying to feed the baby who was hungry and crying. And then there came along 2, 3 younger girls, and then they walked past, and then they said, what is she doing? What the baby crying? What? And then suddenly there was this expression, eee, so disgusting. You know what she's doing? She's breastfeeding here. So disgusting. It's such a disgusting sight. I cannot believe it. I feel like vomiting like that. So I was behind them, and look, oh, mother trying to feed. And then this paper saying that this is a very unsightly thing, disgusting thing, and they want to vomit. Then look at them. Aiyo. If you think like that, it's disgusting. Look at the way you wear. The miniskirt, I don't know whether in existence or not. Plunging back, plunging front, so fat somewhere like that, tight. I look at them and say, I think she's very beautiful. And whereas for the 2 or 3 of you, you are really disgusting sight. But they can see people, they never look into the mirror and look at themselves, that they are also women, And that is disgusting. And what about the way they dress? Who is more disgusting? That is feeding a baby out of necessity. You wear like that to feed what? To feed all the sir, isn't it? So I tell you, brothers and sisters, especially the ladies here, please remember you are also a lady. No shame that you have 2 breasts. The Bible describes you here in verse 5. But you are not meant to expose yourself in such a way that will cause others to sin. Remember, you are a woman. That's what he's trying to tell you here. Solomon married a woman. Solomon did not marry a man. And there's nothing wrong for a woman to look like a woman. Verse 6, until the day breaks and the shadows flee away, I will go my way to the mountain Myrrh and to the hill of frankincense. What is he trying to talk here? Well, Solomon is here expressing, brothers and sisters, his pleasure to be in her company. He looked into her eyes, her face, her body, her neck, her breast, everything about her. In his eyes, it's just perfect. This is my wife. She's mine. And I will be very happy if she's willing always to be in my company. Brothers and sisters, do we feel the same way? Will we feel the same way about my wife? Your wife? Do you feel the same way, brothers and sisters? That's how God look at us. We are in the sight of God, people that He made. It is God who make us with hair or no hair. It is God who make us with a pair of eyes or no eyes. Whatever, it's God who make us who we are. And remember, who we are and who you are a wonderful sight in the eyes of God. Be proud of who you are. Do not be discouraged. Do not have a low esteem of yourself. Remember, God made you for who you are. And so he went on to say about how beautiful the wife is from verse 7 downward. You are all fair, he says, my love, and there is no spot in you. You realize the word no spot in you? Immediately we know that the Apostle Paul was actually thinking of this passage of the scripture when he wrote about marriage. If you turn with me to the book of Ephesians chapter 5, you find that here Paul had in mind this passage when he talked about Christ's love for his church. Ephesians 5. Reading for you from verse 25. Husband, love your wife, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her, that he might sanctify and cleanse her with the washing of water by the word, that he might present her to himself a glorious church, not having spot, not having spot or no spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she should be holy and without blemish. So husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. Have you ever thought about that? People always think that marriage is actually a human invention. It's not a human invention. Marriage actually has a spiritual picture. It's about Christ's love for his people. And Christ loved his people so much that he will perfect the church in such a way, preserve it, that there will be no spot or wrinkle. And that's how you ought a picture here to do with your spouse. Brothers and sisters, marriage should make you a better person. Marriage should not make you a worse person. If you find that after you got married, you are worse off, I'm not talking about finance, I'm talking as your character, then you are not what a marriage is ought to be. Marriage should make you a better person. For a man, you should become more and more a social creature. Men, really, I'm a man, so I can criticize myself. We got no sense about social one, We are very individualistic. We don't know anything. We don't remember birthday. We have problem remembering anniversary. We important occasion. We just feel that there's nothing. No need to do anything. It's the woman who entered my life who will teach me the importance of all these things. You realize that if you go down to a void deck where there are a lot of senior citizens, you realize that the woman will go together and then they were very noisy. Why simple? Why then talk? Lunchtime I'm gonna cook what? My grandson love this, my granddaughter do this. Then you look on the other side, the quiet side. It's all the men looking into the sky, looking at the land, looking at the bird. The people with dementia, the men. Because men don't know how to talk, don't know how to socialize. But if you have been married properly, if you are complementing one another, you realize that a man, by nature that way, will be complemented by the wife, and after years of marriage, well then the man is no longer the same way that the man was supposed to be by nature. And so I just want to encourage all of you to look at it this way, that we should make the best of one another, that we should improve one another's life. Then chapter 4 and verse 8 to chapter 4 and verse 15, you find that after describing earlier on how beautiful the wife is, from verse 8 to verse 15, look at his longing for his bride. See, I tell you, this is a bridal procession, right? He was on his way to fetch her. So here he's thinking about the wife, thinking, oh, she'll look so beautiful. He's thinking. And then suddenly, verse 8, he says, come with me from Lebanon, my spouse. With me from Lebanon. Look from the top of Amana, from the top of Sire, Sinai, and Hermon, from the lions, then from the mountains of... You know what's talking about here? When he talked about the wife was not with him here because he was still on his way. Suddenly, there was a in his heart, and the longing, that why can't my wife be with me now? And when she's finally with me, I want her to be with me forever. I'm not going to let her go away anymore. I cannot live without her company. That's what he's saying. That's why he goes on to say, you have ravished my heart, verse 9. My sister, my spouse, you have ravished my heart with one look of your eyes, with one link of your necklace. How fair, how beautiful is your love, my sister, my spouse. How much better than wine is your love, which was what the wife said about him in chapter 1. And the scent of a perfume than all spices. Your lips, oh my spouse, drip as the honeycomb, very sweet. Honey and milk are under your tongue, and the fragrance of your garment is like the fragrance of Lebanon. Lebanon in ancient time was known to be the land of spices. You find all sorts of smell from Lebanon, the cedar, all the spices used for cooking as well as for your homes. Verse 12, a garden enclosed is my sister, my spouse, a spring shut up, a fountain sealed. She belonged only to him and barred from others is what he's saying here. A garden enclosed, meaning to say, it's my garden, all the beautiful flowers and all is mine, it's not for others to come in. This is my garden, my wife. This fountain is mine, for me only. It's mine, it's not for sharing. This is what Solomon was saying here about the exclusiveness of that relationship. Your plants are an orchard of pomegranates with pleasant fruits, fragrant henna with spinach. Henna is a small white flowers. Okay, it's a very fragrant, strong smell, a kind of nice smell kind of flower. Sparknut and saffron, and you know saffron is very expensive herb that's used for cooking. Calamus and cinnamon. Cinnamon actually comes all the way from Sri Lanka. Can you imagine in those old ancient days, a spice from Sri Lanka was already exported to the Middle East with all trees of frankincense, myrrh and aloes, with all the chief spices. So here, brothers and sisters, we find the exotic ingredients and spices being mentioned and being used, as I say, in this Hebrew poetry. And what is the point there? The point is this, brothers and sisters, that Solomon is using all these expensive spices to describe the wife, how precious she is to me. Even her smell smells good. Her hair, the perfume, the shampoo she's using is just the right smell for me. Everything about her, brothers and sisters, everything about her. A fountain of gardens, a well of living water, verse 15, and streams from Lebanon. She is just enough for me. Brothers and sisters, especially the brothers here, that's why at marriage we say, for better or worse, for riches, for poorer, in sickness, in health, forsaking all others, till death do us part. Solomon is saying, she and she only is enough. I will not look at any other woman anymore. Man, guess what you must do? If you are married, be a responsible husband. Don't hurt and harm the person you're supposed to love. No more looking at others. Just look at your wife and find your satisfaction and your perfection only in your wife. Love her. Her beauty is your pride. No. Her beauty is your pride. Make sure that because of you, she is a better person. Is what is telling you here. Okay? And now, look at how the bride responds to Solomon's praise of her and longing for her. In verse 16. Awake, O north wind, and come, O south wind. Blow for my garden, that its spices may flow out. Let my beloved come to his garden and eat its pleasant fruits. She confessed herself as a garden with all these expensive fruits and spices. And she said the north wind is actually a cool wind. The south wind is actually a very warm wind in the Middle Eastern area of the world. And what she's saying is this: come wind, come whatever weather, whatever, I will be there for my Solomon. Why? Women, sisters, let me ask you, do you feel the same way for your husband? Are you a lovely and easy to love person? I say this with care, brothers and sisters. Because some women are actually very quarrelsome. And after marriage, worse. Full of materialism, which this morning I just read for you, right? Do not be materialistic. Some women, especially I was told by a Malaysian friend that we met in Australia recently, asking him, are you looking for a girl from Singapore? And she said, Singapore Chabo cannot marry one. I said, hey, what do you mean by that? She said, very materialistic on the Singapore Chabo, cannot marry. Very materialistic, it's all about money. Is that the impression you give to outsiders and other people, brothers and sisters, especially the sisters here? Are you very quarrelsome? Always, do you know that fewer and fewer people are willing to marry an American girl? Because American girl is always about human rights, always about their right, always about it. And so much so that it's very difficult and dangerous. Man, listen, don't say that, oh, the American girl is very pretty. You marry her, bye-bye to all your inheritance. He's a very quarrelsome person because of all the modern American values gone wrong. So, as you read what this woman said in verse 16, you have to ask yourself, is this the message I convey to my husband, to the person I love? And you who are not married, are you helping your sisters who are married to convey this message and encourage her to convey this message to their spouses? That come, I will always be welcoming. I will always be somebody you love to come back to. And as I told you before, some men don't want to go home after work because they don't want to go back and see the wife. Why? It's quarrelsome. It's always complaining. Why some men, and this is I'm telling you with some feeling, some men actually after a few years of marriage would rather that from a single bed, a single king size, queen size bed become two single beds. Don't want to sleep together. You know why? Because the man told me before, hey, sit beside her. Every night is always how bad my mother is. And how bad your mother is, how bad your father is, how bad. You how bad. How to sleep? How to sleep with a woman like that? I don't know, maybe the man is also the same equally. But what I'm saying to you, brothers and sisters, are you welcome? You know what it means here, brothers and sisters? It means the church responding to God. Jesus said, come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, come. Well, the church respond to the Lord and say, Lord, I will come. I will come because I'm devoted to you. Jesus said, behold, I come quickly. And the church response is, Lord Jesus, quickly come, quickly come. We have been waiting for you. Brothers and sisters, do you say the same in response to the love of God? Now we come to what happens finally. Finally, the bridal procession with all the glory and richness, processional. Finally, they arrive. They reach the place, they reach the vineyard, they reach where the woman was. And this is what is we are told down there in chapter 5 verse 1. I have come to my garden. My sister, I have come to my spouse. I have gathered my myrrh with my spice. I have eaten my honeycomb with my honey. I have drunk my wine with my meal. Oh, eat, friends. Drink, yes, drink deeply, abundantly. Oh, beloved ones, you see, finally, she saw him, and he saw her, and he's with her. Finally, they are now together, and the accompanying people, all those who accompanied the friends and the relatives, they really had abundance to eat, and they rejoice in this picture of love. Brothers and sisters, here then is the wedding procession. And it's such a wonderful thing, isn't it? I hope that in future, when you participate in a wedding of somebody from your family or friends, you remember all these things. It's meant to teach you about the love of God for His church. Human love, a picture of human love here, a Hebrew love poem is supposed to provoke in you this love of God, to appreciate how Solomon, who is a picture of Christ, loved this Solomite woman who is a picture of the church. And how this woman loved the husband. May we all, my beloved brothers and sisters, have the same longing and love for him as well. Let us pray.